Good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. Today we start chapter 8, Emancipation of the Soul, a very interesting subject. We are going to discuss sleep and dreams, spirit visits of living individuals, concealed transmission of thought, lethargy and catalepsy, apparent death, somnambulism, ecstatic trance, second sight, and then there is a long theoretical summary of somnambulism, ecstatic trance, and second sight. It will take us many weeks to go through this. Only the first one, which is sleep and dreams, should take at least a couple of weeks for us to go through it. It's a subject that always generates questions, doubts, so let's see if we can try to go over the concept of dreams, especially, and try to better understand how it works. Philip, please.
Sleep and dreams. Does an incarnate spirit willingly reside in its physical envelope? It is as if you asked if a prisoner likes to remain locked up in prison. The incarnate spirit endlessly pines for its freedom, and the more rudimentary its envelope, the more it wishes to be rid of it.
Yeah, so here is just a definition of us separating ourselves or detaching ourselves from our physical body during our sleep. And in the sense that it's a natural process that, according to the spirits, all incarnated individuals long for this opportunity to free themselves from the physical envelope, from the physical body. Okay. For one.
Does the soul rest during sleep as does the body? No, a spirit is never inactive. The bonds that tie it to the body are relaxed during slumber, and as the body does not require its presence, it travels through space and has direct relationships with other spirits.
Okay, so here we start discussing the concept of what happens when our physical body is sleeping. And the spirit tells us that the spirit is never inactive. So we detach ourselves from the physical body, of course, always connected by some of the cords, especially the silver cord, because if we completely detach from the physical body dies. But the spirit travels through space and has direct relationship with other spirits. That's a very important concept. So we go to the spiritual world and we have a direct relationship with other spirits, both incarnate and discarnate spirits. That's also important, right? It's not that in our dreams we go to the spiritual world and only have interactions with discarnated spirits. We have interaction with incarnate and discarnate spirits. Okay.
Well, in this case, when we detach from the body during the sleep, the place where you go, what we do, depends on the permission or the authorization from our guardian angel.
No, depends more on our mental state, right? And we are going to discuss a little bit more as we talk about dreams. But we take ourselves where we vibrate, right? And we are going to connect to what attracts us. The guardian angel, the protecting spirits, they will be there if they need to provide support for us to go somewhere, let's say, like André Luiz describes in many of his books, going to watch a lecture in the spiritual world, then yes, they will be helping us, assisting us. But you know, if you are dreaming about some food that you wish to go, and you're going to the restaurant that you're missing in your hometown or everywhere, you don't need anyone guiding you. Go by yourself. You know, you detach yourself and you go by yourself without, because then, you know, there is no need of guidance, right? So they will be there when we need guidance.
Because I remember the books of Andrea Luiz, that usually the manufacturers are doing something. Either you have to go kind of reconciliate with someone or see something for your future, or it's kind of, okay, but,
But these are all situations where you need guidance.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
402.
Yeah, 402 is a very long question, and so bear with us.
How can we prove a spirit's freedom during sleep? By dreams. When the body is asleep, a spirit enjoys the use of faculties it does not possess when awake. It remembers the past and sometimes sees the future. It acquires more power and is able to communicate with other spirits, either in this world or in another. You often say, I had a strange dream, a terrible dream, nothing like reality. You are mistaken in thinking this because it is often a recollection of places and things that you have seen in the past, or a premonition of those that you will see in a future existence, or even in this life at some future time. As the body is numb, the spirit tries to break free of its shackles, oh boy, and seeks in the past or in the future any means of doing so. Poor humans, how will you know regarding the most basic phenomena in your life? You fancy yourselves to be very educated and are puzzled by the most ordinary things. You are incapable of answering simple questions that a child might ask, such as, what do we do when we are asleep? What are dreams? Sleep frees the soul partially from the body. When you sleep, your spirit is in a state in which you will find yourself after death. The spirits who are promptly freed from matter upon death are those who, during their life, had intelligent sleep. Such individuals meet with other spirits superior to themselves when asleep. They spend time with them, conversing and learning from them. They even work on undertakings in the spirit world that they discover. Oh boy. They even work on undertakings in the spirit world that they discover to already be initiated or completed upon death. Based on this, you should see how death should not be feared, since you die daily, according to the words of a saint. What we have just stated refers to elevated spirits, those who remain in a state of confusion and uncertainty for hours after death venture into worlds lower than earth when asleep. They are drawn back to these worlds by old penchants, or the attraction of desires or inclinations more despicable than those to which they are addicted to in your world. During these visits, they accumulate more shameful and mischievous ideas than those that they have acknowledged when awake. What produces a sense of sympathy in the physical life is nothing more than the fact that they feel attracted to those that whom they have spent 8 or 9 hours of happiness or pleasure. On the other hand, the basis of the unyielding aversion they sometimes feel for certain individuals is also found in the initiative knowledge they have acquired that those individuals have a conscience that is different from theirs. They know them without having physically seen them. The same fact explains the indifference some people feel for others. They do not care to make new friends because they know that they have others who love and cherish them. Sleep has more influence than you think on your life. Incarnate spirits connect with the spirit world through sleep. This is why higher spirits agree to incarnate themselves among you. God has resolved that they may fortify themselves at the source of goodness during their contact with vice, so that they may not fall into wrongdoing while trying to enlighten others. God opens the gate of slumber through which they may pass to see their friends in the spirit world. It is their leisure time after work, while awaiting their final liberation, which restores them to their true place. Dreams are the recollection of what your spirit has seen during sleep. However, you must realize that you do not always dream, because you do not always remember what you have seen or everything that you have seen. Your dreams do not always reflect the action of your soul in its full development. They often are merely the reflection of the confusion accompanying your departure or return, sprinkled with a hazy recollection of what you have done or whatever has occupied your thoughts in your waking state. How else can you explain the absurd dreams dreamt by both the wisest and most foolish human beings? Bad spirits also use dreams to torment weak and faint-hearted souls. You will soon see the development of another kind of dream, one that is primordial, but of which you are unaware. This dream is that of Joan of Arc, Jacob, the Jewish prophets, and certain Hindu ascetics. A dream that is the memory of the soul's experiences while entirely free from the body. This is the memory of the second life of which I just spoke. You should try to carefully distinguish between these two kinds of dreams, at least out of those that you are able to recall. Otherwise, you run the risk of falling into contradictions and errors that would be prejudicial to your faith. Dreams are a consequence of the emancipation of the soul. Souls have more independence by the suspension of the active and social life and enjoy indefinite clairvoyance extending to faraway places or those we have never seen, or even other worlds. This emancipation is what causes the reminiscence that retraces the events from our present or prior lives. The peculiarity of the images of what has taken place in worlds unknown to us, mixed with the present world, produces bizarre and whimsical patchworks that seem to be devoid of meaning. The incoherence of dreams is further explained by gaps resulting from the incomplete recollection of what has appeared to us in our dreams. This incompleteness is similar to a narrative that has whole sentences or sections omitted, and the remaining fragments are randomly thrown together with a resulting loss of all logical meaning.
Okay, thanks, Philip. It's a long one.
Boy.
So let's first define dreams, right? We have basically two types of dreams. Dreams that are our experiences in the spiritual world that we sometimes bring partial or more complete recollections, depending on each person, and dreams that is only our physical brain rehashing the activities of our daily lives. These generally are the dreams that are completely nonsensical. There is a lot of information that doesn't make sense. These are dreams that are we shouldn't pay too much attention because it's just a result of our brain realigning itself with things of our daily lives. Now, in terms of experiences in the spiritual world, we, when our perispirit is separated from our physical body, our physical brain is not experiencing everything that is happening to us. When we come back to the physical body, we reconnect with the physical body, we bring a few, very few, more or a lot more of these recollections and imprint in our physical brain. And that's when we wake up and remember our dreams. Now, one important thing here is the physical brain does not capture 100% of the experiences in the spiritual world. Whatever is missing, our physical brain makes its own connections with our own preconceived ideas or everything else. So when you remember a dream in deep details, it does not necessarily mean that you had that experience. The general theme of the dream is really what happened. So you remember that you wake up, you remember you dreamt with your grandfather, and you went fishing and you caught a specific fish, and the water was one way or another. So the dream, the meeting with your grandfather, very likely it's real. The going fishing with your grandfather, it may be a remembrance of something you used to do when you were a kid and that you loved. So when you see him, it comes to your memory immediately, but it's not what you did in the spiritual world and the other details. So maybe you had a conversation with your grandfather about the times you went fishing with him, but you remember it when it comes to your physical brain, you remember it as an experience. So that's what's important for us to, when we try to decipher our dreams or to remember our dreams, to give more importance to the general idea of the dreams than to the details of our dreams that we are not so sure that it is what happened. Okay. Now, as they say here, we are able to communicate with other spirits either in this world or in another. We can communicate with incarnate spirits or discarnate spirits. We dream with people that are, you dream with a friend that is very much alive. Have you met him or her in the spiritual world? It's possible that both of you were sleeping and you met there, or it's just a wish that you had to meet that friend, and in your dream you create the meeting. Maybe you met with a friend from a previous existence, but when you wake up, you don't remember the friend from a previous existence. You remember the friend from the actual existence, and you think that you dreamed with him or her, when in reality you dreamt about someone else. So there is a lot of permutations on this concept of what we dream and how we remember our dream. Okay. I brought 3 texts from two from the book Evolution in Two Worlds and one from the book Mechanisms of Mediumship that talks about sleep and dreams. André Luiz explains very much in detail what happens and the reason and the process and the different levels of dreams. So I want to share with you here so we can go over those texts, okay? But before we go there, any questions here on what we studied? Okay. So here we go. So this is Evolution in Two Worlds, Part 1, Chapter 17. André Luiz, here on the first one, he just explains how it happens and why it happens, okay? Philip.
Sleep and attachment. It is important to note that as human beings began to develop continuous thought, sleep took on a significance that their involving consciousness had not previously known.
You need me to increase the font?
Yeah, a little larger would help a lot.
Better?
That's better, yes. Used instinctively by the spiritual element as a means of restoring energy and repairing working cells, this physiological state opened new possibilities for those dedicated to broader effects of desire and visualization. Seeking relief from physical fatigue after a certain amount of daily activity, humans fall asleep with their minds focused on tasks they valued. As they matured in their ability to think, they gradually learned, much like they had learned to face death, to experience a partial detachment from their physical bodies during sleep. While still connected to their dense material form by fluidic magnetic ties, these bonds would loosen slightly, particularly in specific energy centers. As sleep begins, with motor functions slowing down and the body instinctively entering a state of temporary rest to aid fatigue cells, something that has occurred since ancient times when thought became more structured. The mind, through the spiritual body, remains close to the physical form. This can be compared to a rider resting beside the horse he relies on for a long, I can't see the rest. And complex journey, allowing the animal to recover while he withdraws into himself to reflect, imagine, and process his thoughts and concerns.
So here, André Luiz explains the origins as we developed as individual spirits. The difference between the animal phase and the human phase is the thought process. Animals have broken thoughts, right? They don't have continuous thought. That's why they cannot move past a level of development that allows them to create things and to do what humans do. Once we became individual spirits, we develop from continuous thought, we develop ourselves. The proof that we have continuous thought is that we cannot stop thinking, right? We can enter into relaxation, we can go into meditation, but we cannot stop thinking. That's continuous thought. As we evolved, the more we are able to move away from the physical body in our sleep. Because when in the primitive state, as we go to sleep, because we don't know much else besides what's around us in the physical world, our detachment, this partial detachment, keeps us close to our physical body because we are not prepared to move away from it. It is what André Luiz describes here, a rider resting beside a horse he relies on for a long and complex journey, right? So we are resting, but the mind remains close to the physical form, okay? There's not much on this one, much more. The second one and the third one gives us a more deep understanding of the aspects. The four is aspects of detachment. Go ahead, Philip.
Aspects of detachment.
Yeah.
During sleep, by reducing its control over the physical body, the mind turns inward, shaping in the constant flow of its own thoughts the images it desires, reliving pleasant dreams and revisiting memories that align with its aspirations. To do this, it utilizes the higher vision center in the diencephalon, where the optical functions of the crown chakra nurture the mind with emerging thoughts during the temporary nervous disengagement. In other instances, however, the mind experiences the consequences of its excesses, suffering from internal discomfort caused by physical overindulgence or the heavy weight of remorse for past mistakes. These emotions surface from deep within its own memory. In both cases, the mind is susceptible to influence from spirits, whether enlightened or not, who are drawn to its energetic field. These spiritual visitors may offer helpful guidance when the person is inclined toward moral growth, or conversely drain their energy and implant negative suggestions when they remain idle or entertain harmful intentions. In such cases, individuals may stagnate in laziness or become entangled in harmful spiritual connections that reinforce destructive habits. However, there is only a small step from being a passive spectator to becoming an active participant. The continuous flow of thought constantly affects the structure of the spiritual body. Much like a stream that dislodges pebbles from the ground, it flows over. And just as these pebbles follow the current and gradually become polished over time, the spiritual body initially follows the impulses of the mental flow, slowly becoming aware of itself during sleep, which offers a partial form of liberation.
Okay. So here, what André Luiz is telling us is that during sleep, the mind turns inward. The mind is in the spirit. We're not talking about the physical body, physical brain. Talk about the mind. Turns inward, shaping in constant flow of its own thoughts, the images it desires, reliving pleasant dreams and revisiting memories that align with its aspirations. So we are going, during our sleep state, we are going deep into our inner thoughts, the memories, and our desires and aspirations, which has the positive and negative aspect. So André Luiz talks about the higher vision center of the diencephalon, with thoughts that emerge during the disengagement. But also, sometimes we can experience the consequences of our own excess. So we go back to memories that we try to hide or we don't enjoy very much, and we bring this is what we can call sometimes the nightmares. When we talk about nightmares, right? These can be experiences of our own physical brain that relieves experiences that traumatic experiences that can manifest in terms of seeing and or experiencing places and things that we feel very discomfortable, we are afraid. But one parenthesis here, very important. Sometimes people talk about dreams of experiencing nightmares in places, very difficult places that we can compare to the lower zones. It is possible that we use our sleep, and we talk about this many times. You use your sleep to work in the spiritual world. You can go to these places to help and assist a group of spirits, of course, guided then by your protecting spirits and guardian angels, and you go there to work. And then you wake up thinking you had a nightmare, and this nightmare, yes, it feels like a nightmare, but it may be a consequence of your own work in the spiritual world. So not all nightmares are consequence of our remorse or weight or heavy weight or things like that. It can be, again, and it can even be that part of the dream that I said that is our physical brain rehashing what happened in our daily lives. And again, some traumatic experiences can be worked in our dreams as a nightmare to make ourselves heal ourselves through our own instruments of repairing the traumas that we carry with us. And then André Luis mentions that in both cases, we have the influence of spirits, right? Enlightened or not. Because if we are dreaming, having experiences that experiences that are consequences of our excesses. So bad experiences in the spiritual world will have spirits that are attracted to us and will try to cause us, implant negative suggestions, as they say here, or try to harm ourselves. So the recommendation of praying before going to sleep, entertain your mind with uplift thoughts. These are all preparations to have a pleasant experience while we are sleeping, because everything that you do before you go to sleep is going to likely reflect on your sleep, and it can cause these good or bad dreams that may happen. Then André Luis talks about us moving from passive spectator to become an active participant, right? In the sense that the continuous flow of thought it's going to affect the structure of the perispirit, the spiritual body. Will become the spiritual body will slowly become aware of itself during sleep, and will improve the quality of our experiences in the spiritual world. That's what André Luis is trying to mention here, okay? It's a little bit complex, but I thought it was interesting for us to understand a little deeper how the whole process works. The third text is it's even more explanatory of the experiences of sleeping and dreams. The third text comes from Mechanisms of Mediumship, the book, and it's on chapter 21, and it's called Sleep and Dreams also. Okay.
Yes. Sleep and dreams. Just as it happens with higher evolved animals, in humans at a lower stage of spiritual evolution, the separation of individuality during sleep serves primarily as a means of physical restoration. In the first case, where the mental energy is just a weak emission of fragmented forces, dreams are merely reflections of physiological activity. In the second case, where mental energy is beginning to expand, dreams for a long time remain a reflective expression of one's own conscious or emotional world. However, as a being matures spiritually, their thoughts evolve through experience. Just as a sensitive person, when outside their physical body, may be drawn to a place suggested by a hypnotist, obeying conditioned reflexes during artificial hypnosis, so too does a person in natural hypnosis, sleep, follow the direction of their own desires. Their conditioned reflexes determine the scope of their actions beyond the physical body, leading them to places where their thoughts are focused. A farmer, during sleep, surpasses the initial dream states and returns to the land he cultivated, observing in spirit the crops he nurtures with care. An artist revisits their work, mentally refining it. A mother draws close to the children entrusted to her by life. A wrongdoer returns to the place where they are tormented by the pain of their remorse. Once beyond the stage of random dream imagery, individuals project mental scenes related to the activities they are most engaged with. This attracts the attention of discarnate intelligences who share similar interests, providing suggestions for the work they are involved in. However, removed from their physical body, many people function like children in the presence of adults, caught between the higher ideas they receive and the immature thoughts they still carry. This often results in the chaotic and fragmented nature of dreams upon waking. Millions of people remain in this evolutionary stage, representing the average level of humanity. Every day, they surrender to the necessity of sleep, a natural state of hypnosis and restoration, where they unconsciously detach from their physical form. During this state, they align with spiritual entities that resonate with their inclinations, whether for constructive good or harmful negativity. Through these nightly interactions, they weave the path of experiences that will be essential for their spiritual growth in the future.
Okay, some important concepts that André Luiz brings to us here. First, with higher evolved animals, they already have dreams, right? But as André Luiz says here, the mental energy is just a weak emission of fragmented forces. Dreams are merely reflections of physiological activity. Those that have pets, when they are sleeping, you probably have seen your pets dreaming, right? They make some noises, they make some funny things. That's what happens. They are really dreaming, but it's, as André Luiz describes, it's a weak emission of fragmented forces. Now, during when we become individual spirits, right, where mental energy begins to expand, for a long time, dreams remain a reflexive expression of our own conscious or emotional world. We are too primitive as evolutionary spirits to go beyond the place we are living. André Luiz also in the book Evolution in the Two Worlds talk about the death of primitive spirits that, spirits, for instance, that live in the forest, they go back to the spiritual world. They'll never leave the forest. They stay around. That's the only thing they know. So they are afraid to move, and they end up reincarnating in the same place over and over again until they reach higher degrees of evolution and can move to different places. So here, André Luiz talks, as a being matures spiritually, their thoughts evolve through experience. And then he compares the sleep to hypnosis, right? Saying that you have the artificial hypnosis, which is performed by someone else on the person being hypnotized, and the dream being a natural hypnosis. So instead of someone externally directing you like artificial hypnosis, you have the direction of yourself, of your own desires during our sleep. So our conditional reflexes determine the scope of our actions beyond the physical body. So we go where our thoughts are focused. And then he explains here, a farmer visits the land, an artist revisits the work, mentally refining it. André Luiz talks about artists that go to the spiritual world and come back with inspiration to produce painting or music. I remember an interview with Paul McCartney that when he says that his most famous song, Yesterday, from the Beatles, he woke up one morning with the whole song in his head, not the words, the music was all in his head. He just woke up and the song was there. And also in the famous song Let It Be, when he says his mother came to him, his mother discarnated when he was 15, and told him he was worried about something, and she told him let it be, and then he composes the music when he wakes up. So this is an example of how you have experiences in the spiritual world and you bring it to the physical world and you use it. André Luiz sees one of the books, he sees a painting in the spiritual world, and he mentions that he remembers seeing this painting here in the physical world, and the mentor says, yes, that the physical world is a copy of the painting you are seeing here, because the artist came here in a dream, saw the painting, woke up and reproduced the painting in the physical world. So that's how, the artists can produce art during experiences in the spiritual world during their dreams. And very interesting, a wrongdoer returns to the place where they are tormented by the pain of their remorse. The criminal always returns to the scene of the crime, physically or spiritually, but they always return. So, again, André Luiz talks here about beyond the imagery, that we project mental scenes related to the activities we are most engaged with. And with this, we connected with discarnate intelligence that share the same interests, for the good and for the bad. Now, one thing that André Luiz mentions here, many people function like children in the presence of adults when they are in the spiritual world. There are some descriptions in the books of Chico Xavier of spirits that are in the spiritual world during their sleep, and they behave almost like children, being in a state of awe in the spiritual world without knowing exactly how to react. And there is a passage in the book The Messengers where a girl meets her grandmother, a young adult, let's say, it's not a young girl, it's a young adult, She meets with her grandmother during her sleep. Her grandmother gives her a lot of advices, and André Luiz asks the mentor, Aniceto, what she would remember, and Aniceto tells him that she was going to remember that she dreamt with her grandmother that she loved very much, and she's going to remember basic advices from the grandmother, but not in great detail, and not really what the grandmother told her. But it's only she's going to wake up feeling better, feeling more motivated, and with a good experience of having met her grandmother during the sleep. And the advices from her grandmother will be stored in her eternal spirit mind that will be used when needed, right? Then André Luiz talks about millions of people remain at this evolutionary stage, meaning we are children in the spiritual world, the average level of humanity. We unconsciously detach from our physical form. We align with spiritual entities that resonate with our inclinations, whether for good or for bad. But this will all help. This all helps in our spiritual progress, our spiritual growth. Okay, I thought it was important to bring these passages because I think it adds for a little bit to our understanding of sleep and dreams. Okay, any comments here? Any questions?
No.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going back to.
I have a kind of a question. When people use drugs, either illicit or illicit, or those drugs to fall asleep, or any type of medication, not any type, some type of medication. And they sleep, and then the next day, oh, I didn't dream, I didn't kind of, do the soul actually
Yes.
goes away?
Yeah, what happens, and I think maybe Elmo can explain better, but what happens is the medication acts on the physical brain. So the physical brain becomes incapable of remembering or bringing back any memories because it's in a state of it's incapacitated, let's say, for lack of a better word. But the spirit is always having experiences in the spiritual world. Now, what these drugs may do is attract companions that you don't want to attract. If it's illegal drugs and if it's narcotics that, if they're medicine to help problems, you have some sort of protection from the spiritual world because you're not willingly, abusing. You're just trying to help yourself, right? It's like all medicines. But when they say they have no recollection, it's exactly because the brain became incapable of receiving any information.
I would classify those sleeps as a semi-natural hypnosis. It's not completely natural. It's induced by chemicals, right? Somebody produce a hypnosis, you can say that's artificial, right? But if you go into sleep secondary to chemicals, I would classify as semi-natural, okay? And it varies what happens in the sense of treatment, because some of those medications, the side effect is nightmares. Okay, I don't want to give names over here, not get anybody. But some, if you read the labels and patients come, no, don't give me this because I have horrible dreams when I take this. So I put that in the class of a semi hypnotic state, not a really clean state, and that's why people need, make use of it, but people should avoid to use different techniques, meditation, yoga. So many things that help you sleep. If you really need the chemical, you make use of it, but there are side effects. And dreams, nightmare is one of them.
Okay. Any other questions here? No. Okay, I think we have time for one more here. Actually, something we already discussed, but let's go over it again.
403. Why do we not always remember our dreams? Sleep is only rest for the body. The spirit always remains active. The spirit is partially free while sleeping and communicates with loved ones in both this world and other worlds. As the body is heavy and material, it is difficult for it to retain possession of the impressions received by the spirit during sleep, because those impressions were not received through the physical organs.
Yeah, the important thing here is exactly the last phrase, right? All the experiences we had in the spiritual world were not experienced by our physical organs. So what we are going to remember is what we are able, our physical brain is able to capture from us, the spirit, when we come back. So why do they say that if you want to remember the dream, when you wake up at night, you remember that you were dreaming, and I said, oh, I'm going to remember this in the morning, and then you wake up in the morning and you don't remember. They say, right, if you wake up at night and you want to remember the dream, wake up and write. Another thing that you can do is talk. Say out loud your dream. Why? Because of the functions of our brain, we transfer from one part of the brain to another part of the brain, and it helps it fix. Because when you wake up in the night and you remember something you dreamt, and you go back to sleep, it didn't have time to be fixated in the brain, and ends up going to a place that you don't remember. So that's why they recommend you to write or to talk out loud the dream or things like that. So we come back to reconnect with our physical body. We bring the recollection, fragmented recollection of our experiences in the spiritual world, and our physical brain makes the missing links, makes the connections. That's why we cannot fully 100% believe in our dreams. And actually, this is going to be the next question, but we're going to let it go for next week. So, any final comments, questions?
Yes, Juan, can I just remind everybody that there's a wonderful prayer to be said before going to sleep in the gospel.
There is one in the gospel?
Prayer that you can ask for guidance, so to speak. It's one of the prayers at the end of the gospel. I can remember which number is it.
Okay, thanks, Fabio. Yeah, very good. There is a collection of prayers in the end of the gospel, and
there's one specifically for going to sleep, and it talks exactly what you just described, everything. So yeah, it's a good one.
All right, good. Thanks, Fabio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so we stop here. We continue next week. We have a very interesting talk this Saturday. Is by Dr. Vicente Pessoa, a doctor from Goiânia in Brazil. The subject is children who remember past lives. We just studied last week, forgetfulness of the past. We went over again in the study of chapter 2 of the book Reaction and Reaction. So to complement all these studies, we mentioned the books by Dr. Ian Stevenson. I'm sure Dr. Vicente Pessoa is going to give us a very interesting presentation on this subject, Children Who Remember Past Lives, this Saturday, 11 a.m. through the YouTube channel of the United States Spiritists Federation, okay? This coming Sunday, we are going to study the book Jesus in the Home, chapters 3 and 4, right? This 3 and 4?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
3 and 4, yeah. And maybe 5, depending on the time, okay? Book club, chapter 9 of part 2. And next book, we are almost finishing Paul and Stephen. And next book will be A Light in the Darkness by Joanna de Angelis. Okay? A Light in the Darkness. That we should start, what, in a couple of weeks, Danny? Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. 2-3 weeks time we should start the next book. Okay? All right, Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Yes, thank you very much, John. Thank you, Elmo. And thank you, Philip, for reading this evening and everyone who has been participating. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we give thanks to be together as brothers and sisters for our studies of the Spirit's book. This would be Book 2, Chapter 8, regarding sleep and dreams. Sleep frees us partially from the body. We rest, we realign, and restore energy. There are 2 types of dreams: dreams of our experiences in the spiritual world, and the dreams in which our brain realigns itself with the experiences of daily life. During dreams, we can meet disincarnates and incarnates as well. During sleep, we go deeply into our inner thoughts, both positive and negative, regarding our experiences and traumas. We can consciously prepare for a good night's sleep through prayer, positive suggestions, meditation, and many other examples. We go to where our thoughts are focused. We can speak or write about our dreams to assist us in our memory to retain the recollection of the subject matter. We give thanks to the spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us for our loved ones, our teachers, our directors, our counselors, our mediums, the workers, and all participants. We pray for inner peace and especially for world peace and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center SGNY and all spiritist centers throughout the world that they may grow, expand, prosper, and be protected both day and night. As we close, we humbly ask for safety and protection as we return to our family, friends, loved ones, and coworkers. May we remind ourselves to go forth as beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service, and charity, which is love in action. May peace and love prevail. So be it.